In today's video, how to set up macros for very overweight to obese people. Hey guys, what's going on? This is Paul Ravella from ProPhysique.com. In today's video, we're going to discuss exactly how you should set up calorie goals and macronutrient ratios for those that are overweight. The question came from my Instagram direct message. So if you're interested in asking me a question, just go to my Instagram here, shoot me a question like this one. I'll put it on the screen. You'll get your name on the internet. You'll be famous. And yeah, we'll talk about the question that you're asking. So first things first, I have a little bit of a cold. It just wants to hang on, so I apologize if I sound a little off, but I'm gonna get this video out anyway for you guys. Also, do you dig the new glasses? They're a little dirty right now, but yeah, these are only a couple days old. I'm enjoying them. You know, sometimes I wear contacts. Thought I'd mix it up a little bit, but let's talk about the macronutrient ratios, and I have a surprise for you at the end of this video. Someone asked me to play a song on the guitar, so I'm going to put that at the end of the video. If you really want to listen to me butcher a song, I'll do that on my guitar. It's something I've been playing guitar for over 20 years, and every now and then somebody asks, and you know what, I'm going to oblige and put a song at the end of the video, so I'll put a timestamp in the description so you can know when to shut it off to save your ears from what's to come. It's going to be a Jack Johnson song. Anyway, so setting up macronutrient ratios, I do it much the same way with a few exceptions for someone who's quite a bit overweight. The first and most important thing when we're talking about someone who's overweight is to do a diet recall, because most overweight people usually have a pretty good metabolic rate. You know, the reason that people put on body fat is because they overconsume calories and they're not that active. Well, what does that lead to? In most cases, it's going to lead to a very good metabolic rate. Now, the question was about someone who's about 30 to 40% body fat. Now, while that is very overweight, I wouldn't put this in the life-threatening, you know, you've seen the 600-pound life, those kind of people. I wouldn't put this in that category. I find that 30, 40% is a very manageable body fat percentage range where we can see some rapid fat loss, and here's why. Our bodies don't like to carry around all that extra mass. You know, when you get too far off of the needle, like if this is our natural set point, if you get too lean and too heavy, your body is going to fight to get back here. So when you're too heavy, if you just make a few changes, you're going to get back to stable, right? You're going to get back to a nice place where you feel good. So let's talk about macronutrient ratios for someone who has 30 to 40% body fat. Now, the common prevailing theory is to have about 1 gram of protein per pound, and this is where the biggest difference can come in for someone who's really overweight, because obviously 1 gram per pound is way more than you need as far as lean body mass is concerned. But here's what I will say. There's really no drawbacks to eating more protein. Protein has the highest thermic effect. It creates the most satiety. So if you prioritize protein around all of your meals, it's going to help. Here's where the issue comes in. It's when we combine protein with a lot of fat, a lot of carbs. So you're actually getting tons of calories along with that protein. If we make protein in an effort to keep lean protein sources, things like whey, things like egg whites, things like lean meats, it's going to keep us fuller without having the necessity for all those extra calories. So I really like to base my macronutrient goals. Let's take someone and say they're 300 pounds, okay? 300-pound person who's 30 to 40% body fat, I might only set their protein goal at 220, 200, depending on what their lean body mass is, okay? And also what they prefer, what works for them. It's gonna be a little bit of a discovery phase with this person. Now, from there, we're gonna make sure that someone gets enough fats. And this is really where I think it's difficult for someone who has too much freedom. Sometimes when you start out with a fat loss plan, there's such a thing as kind of being overwhelmed with choice. When I got into tracking macros as my diet, I got overwhelmed with choice. I didn't know what to do. It took me probably a week to even start to get close to hitting the numbers, but I was so damn determined to get on stage as a bodybuilder, and I saw all these other people doing it, and I thought, if they can do it, I can do it. Not everyone is going to have that level of dedication. And sometimes you just need to get a meal plan to get started, okay? So don't feel like you need to include all these foods. If you need to be bro a little bit to start out, if you need to just eat chicken and lean meats, vegetables and starchy carbs that don't create a lot of hunger, keep the sugars low, and which I know could be funny because I just made a video on how I don't think sugar is the actual problem. Well, sugar can be a problem if you're not able to control yourself, and I said that in the video. So I would try to avoid foods that really trigger you early on, because what happens is if you start to make a little bit of momentum during this process, you can really have some great success. So macronutrient ratios. If we're on, let's say, a 2,000 calorie diet, which I know is really low, but I don't want to have to do a bunch of math here. 2,000 calorie diet, right? And we're getting, say, 200 grams of protein, right? My math skills are really good. That's 800 calories. So now we have 1,200 calories from which we can work with. So if we're gonna associate fats in the proper range, I think 17 to 25% of your calories should minimally come from fats. So let's do some quick math. I might have to edit here. 2,000 calorie diet, 25% of that would be 500 calories. Fat is 9 grams per calorie. So that's around 62 grams of fat. So now we're at 200 grams of protein, 62 grams of fat for someone who is on a 2,000 calorie diet. That right there, with the 800 calories from protein and 500 calories from fat, is 1,300 calories. So yes, that's right, you guessed it. We still have 700 calories left to fill that in, and I use that with carbohydrates. So, using some quick math, 4 goes into 700. That would be roughly 175 carbs, and no, I'm not that fast at math. In fact, my brain is hurting right now because I still have some of this congestion. So that would kind of be the breakdown for a 2,000 calorie diet for someone who I feel is 30 to 40% body fat. Now, there may be some variation in how much carbohydrates the person can have, because sometimes when we get a little bit heavier, a little more towards the obese side, there can be some issues with insulin sensitivity, meaning when you kind of ingest some carbohydrates, you have low energy. So it might be more beneficial to bump up the fats a little bit more or the protein a little bit more to fill in the calorie needs, and keep carbohydrates mostly around times when you're going to be active, going to the gym. I don't know that you're going to the gym, but this is just my assumption. So I do have one trick, one thing that I want to share with you that I use with people who are pretty heavy walking. That's right. I have had so much success helping people who are drastically overweight by losing weight just by walking. You cannot imagine how quickly you can lose weight if you just take long walks, especially if you're overweight. Why? Because you have to do so much extra work to carry that weight. It's a burden. Get on an incline treadmill, keep it at a low incline, and start walking without touching the machine, and you're gonna be huffing and puffing, I promise. It's hard for me to do at over 200 pounds at times, and so I know, and I've seen it firsthand. So yes, it's important to get your macronutrient goals set up. And how would I set them up? Well, my first thing is always going to be protein, okay? I want to make sure you're getting enough protein to build and recover and help with satiety. But more importantly than that is your calories. Keeping your calories in the ideal range that we set is what's going to drive change. Getting hung up on being exact with macros, not super important when you're this overweight, okay? But what is important? Calorie range and activity. Be moving, be walking. I know it sounds silly and it sounds cliche, but you can't imagine the impact that just walking can have on a physique when you haven't been that active. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for me today. Hopefully this video helps, and I'm gonna try to shoot a video of me playing guitar now. I apologize.
I showed you it was sometime in September '93. Well, you were lazy about it, you made me wait around, and I was so crazy about you I didn't mind. Well, I was late to class, I locked my back to yours. It wasn't hard to find, 'cause you painted flowers. I guess that I was afraid that if you rolled away
Apologies to Jack.